interesting article in the Globe and Mail on the weekend, and Eric Duhatschek pointing out about how gratifying it is to work with the NHL and all that went with it, but you're a competitor, and how important it must be for you to get back and go to where it all counts, wins and losses.
Yeah, I think when I retired, I knew that I had a lot to learn to a certain degree. It was actually nice to not be a part of wins and losses for a while and just focused on the other side of the game and really get a chance to get a first-class education and not necessarily be involved in wins and losses. But you're right. At a certain point, we were all competitive, and those juices come back. And when the right opportunity came around, I accepted.
The two words that stood out for me in Tim Leiwecke's address to Leaf Nation was opportunity and potential. Do you see that in this group here?
Well, I absolutely, and I don't think I would have taken the job if I thought it was destined for failure. I think that there are 30 teams in the NHL that all have the same goal, and they're all run by smart people and dedicated people, and that's what makes winning so difficult, and it's what makes winning so rewarding. I think that they all know to a man what it would be like here, but at the same time, that's not what's most important. What's most important is starting to get yourself on the path and on the right track. And there are a lot of good pieces here. Sometimes there are pieces that are being misused or mismanaged, and then at the same time, I hope that my presence in some ways can help a guy like Dave Nonis and allow people to just sort of do their jobs and let me handle some of the other distractions that go with being in a place like this.
I think of players like Tim Taylor, Kirk Maltby, Chris Draper, those key utility role players. Does this organization need to bring in players such as those three to get this group back to where you want to see it?
Well, there are a lot of things that all teams strive to do, and I think star players are important, but like you said, role players are also very important. So, having players constantly coming up through your system that you can build that sort of feeling where we've got them in Toronto, whether they're with the Marlboros and the Marlies, and they're coming up here, I think is important. But I think that any team is sort of a mosaic, and they're all different. When one team wins the Stanley Cup, everybody tries to copy them. They say, oh, it's all about speed and skill, and then a big bruising team wins the cup, and it's about being a heavy team. And I think you have to find your own identity and what works for you, and you have to stick to it.
You're just 4 years removed from the game as a player. Is that an asset moving forward as you move into the executive role?
It's funny, when I retired, I wasn't ready to be an executive with the team. Certainly not in this role. I could have taken on a smaller role and learned, and that's a great route that a lot of guys do take. But there was a part of me that wanted to do this before I was so distanced from the game. There are players in the NHL that I've played with, that I've played against. There are guys that I've gone into the corners with and either felt them let up or felt them give it to me, give me a rough go of it. So there are certain, I don't think you necessarily need to have that perspective, but it certainly helps in some cases to have that up-close memory and perspective of some of the guys that are currently starring in the NHL.
Let's conclude on this. You once played for Brian Sutter. You won Stanley Cups for Scotty Bowman. How did individuals like that make you a better person, better player?
Well, I think you take a little bit from all the people that you meet along the way, and you might not necessarily always understand it at the time, what you're learning. I think sometimes you have to get away from the game and step back and grow up and get a little bit older and a little bit more mature and recognize how each person had an influence, whether it was pushing you or making you uncomfortable to go to the next level, or just sort of seeing somebody who had the patience to stick with something in spite of a bad turn of luck. I said as a player, sometimes good players have bad years, and sometimes good teams have bad years. And some of the best management people that I've worked for had the resolve and the nerve to stick with their plan and not necessarily be so reactive.